November 13th, 2022 Daily Bread. Passage, Deuteronomy chapter 12, verses 1 through 28. Key verses 4 and 5. Title, Worship God in His Way. These are the decrees and laws you must be careful to follow in the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, has given you to possess as long as you live in the land. Destroy completely all the places on the high mountains, on the hills, and under every spreading tree, where the nations you are disposing worship their gods. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn their Asherah poles in the fire. Cut down the idols of their gods and wipe out their names from those places. You must not worship the Lord your God in their way. But you are to seek the place the Lord your God will choose from among all your tribes, to put his name there for his dwelling. To that place you must go. There bring your burnt offerings and sacrifices, your tithes and special gifts, what you have vowed to give, and your free will offerings, and the firstborn of your herds and flocks. There, in the presence of the Lord your God, you and your families shall eat and shall rejoice in everything you have put your hand to, because the Lord your God has blessed you. You are not to do as we do here today, everyone doing as they see fit. Since you have not yet reached the resting place and the inheritance the Lord your God is giving you. But you will cross the Jordan and settle in the land the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, and he will give you rest from all your enemies around you, so that you will live in safety. Then to the place the Lord your God will choose as a dwelling for his name, there you are to bring everything I command you, your burnt offerings and sacrifices, your tithes and special gifts, and all the choice possessions you have vowed to the Lord. And there rejoice before the Lord your God, you, your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, and the Levites from your towns who have no allotment or inheritance of their own. Be careful not to sacrifice your burnt offerings anywhere you please. Offer them only at the place the Lord will choose in one of your tribes, and there observe everything I command you. Nevertheless, you may slaughter your animals in any of your towns, and eat as much of the meat as you want, as if it were gazelle or deer, according to the blessing the Lord your God gives you. Both the ceremonially unclean and the clean may eat it. But you must not eat the blood. Pour it out on the ground like water. You must not eat in your own towns the tithe of your grain, and the new wine and olive oil, or the firstborn of your herds and flocks, or whatever you have vowed to give, or your free will offerings, or special gifts. Instead, you are to eat them in the presence of the Lord your God, at the place the Lord your God will choose. You, your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, and the Levites from your towns. And you are to rejoice before the Lord your God in everything you put your hand to. Be careful not to neglect the Levites as long as you live in your land. When the Lord your God has enlarged your territory as he promised you, and you crave meat and say, I would like some meat, then you may eat as much of it as you want. If the place where the Lord your God chooses to put his name is too far away from you, you may slaughter animals from the herds and flocks the Lord has given you, as I have commanded you, and in your own towns you may eat as much of them as you want. Eat them as you would gazelle or deer. Both ceremonially unclean and the clean may eat. But be sure you do not eat the blood, because the blood is the life, and you must not eat the life with the meat. You must not eat the blood. Pour it out on the ground like water. Do not eat it, so that it may go well with you and your children after you, because you will be doing what is right in the eyes of the Lord. But take your consecrated things and whatever you have vowed to give, and go to the place the Lord will choose. Present your burnt offering on the altar of the Lord your God, both the meat and the blood. The blood of your sacrifices must be poured beside the altar of the Lord your God, but you may eat the meat. Be careful to obey all these regulations I am giving you, so that it may always go well with you and your children after you, because you will be doing what is good and right in the eyes of the Lord your God. Daily Bread Message. So far, Moses' main point was to remain in a relationship with God in the Promised Land. It is because forgetting God leads to idolatry. Now his teaching is regarding idolatry. The idolatry of the Canaanites was detestable to God. So in the new land they were to tear out idol worship places and destroy idols. They were to worship God, not in the way of idol worshippers, but in the place that God would choose for them. Eventually God would name the location and have a temple built in Jerusalem as the permanent place of worship. Worship is to honor and love the object of worship. It is not to please the worshiper. Worship is not about us. It is about God. We are to worship God according to God's way. All worshipers must seek the place where God puts his name, and his name is Jesus. Jesus tabernacled among us. Jesus built the temple through his death and resurrection. Moreover, the worship of God was not to be done out of obligation, but out of joy. Worshippers should eat together and rejoice in everything in the presence of God. God does not accept obligatory heartless worship. He is not pleased with hearts that are not joyful to worship and offer praise. Seeing and remembering God's great love and blessing leads us to joyful worship. Prayer. Lord, you are the true object of my worship. Help me to worship each week according to your way joyfully and thankfully. One word, worship God and rejoice.